I don't need it. You allowed us to do it. Yeah.
It's 6:30. I'd like to call the city council meeting to order. Our city clerk is not with us tonight, but city administrator Melton will act in that function. So please call the roll.
Here we go again. Alderman Schlegel.
Here.
Alderman Zaidama. Here. Alderman Travell absent. Alderman West.
Here.
Alderman Bruckner.
Here.
Alderman Tickler.
Here.
Alderman Cruz.
Here.
Alderman Mahaffey.
Here.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Is there anyone present who intends to record this meeting? Of the media, okay? Public comments. Thank you all for signing up, I appreciate that. First is Daniel Exner.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody ever even gave consideration what it's gonna do to my store. I mean, I'm right there on the corner, I would have no parking. I go to sell it, I will get nothing for it. If I go to rent it, nobody will want it. Does the city even consider that? Or do they wanna buy it from me, or what's the intent? I don't know. Second thing is, why didn't I get notified when I'm probably one of the two most that are affected by this closure of Genesee? I never received anything from in the mail. Nobody told me. I found out myself last month. I've talked to hundreds of people since then, and not one of them even knew about it. And I don't know what you use, newspaper or whatever, but the message is not getting out there, I'm telling you right now. And also, I hear, well, those traffic lights, those are the cities or whatever. I had a drunk hit one of them, leaned against my building. I called the city. City said they knew nothing about it. They don't do anything with those lights. I had to get a hold of the state. And I had to get a hold of the state. So I don't know what this is about the traffic lights. Then you say there's not enough people interested, but if you're not letting people know, if the message is not getting out there, whatever media you're using is not working. That's why there's not that many, wasn't that many people before. So, I mean, that needs to be taken care of. And it's just, there's just so many things. And you look at it, how many people have signed a petition? That's 1 out of 20, every 20 people in Morrison. I haven't had one person, not one person that I talked to that was for this, closing that street. Not one. And I've talked to hundreds. I was in business for 20 years at that store. You guys got all the taxes for it. And now all of a sudden, oh, it's fine just to close the street because that store ain't open. We don't care if he loses what the value of that store is. The only reason I kept that store is because I wanted to sell it because Morrison needs a sporting goods store. Everybody's going out of town. You're pushing all these businesses out of town. Morrison needs a sporting goods store. So my intent was, that's why everybody looks in that store. They say, well, you still got all the inventory in there because I'm trying to sell it as a sporting goods store. But we had the COVID. Now we got the inflation the way it is. Nobody's got any money to buy it. So the store's sitting there. And they said, well, since it's just sitting there, I hear, well, might as well just close the street. You don't care. That's taking money out of my pocket. Now, I don't know what you people think or care, but I mean, it's the way you're going about it is terrible. And I just feel like, you know, my 20 years of helping Morrison out, running that business is just being flushed away. So, thanks for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Vicky Eagle.
Ankle.
Becky April, 501 Hickory Hill Drive, Morrison. I'm very much opposed to removing the stoplight at Route 30 and Genesee, and I think a vote to do so would be a great disservice to all citizens in Morrison. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Brian Barton.
Good evening. Just wanted to bring the council up to date on the current number of signatures. Now, there was a question posed last time. I found 237 legible signatures from those identifying as Morrison residents and 18 legible signatures from those identifying as non-Morrison residents, for a total of 255 signatures on the petition at the present time. I would encourage the council to pursue the drainage related improvements at the intersection. I think that is a worthwhile project. I do hope that no property owner floods. I think that's a very important initiative for the city to address, and I encourage action on the drainage aspect at the intersection. Thank you.
Thank you. There were 3 folks who signed in and do not wish to comment. Next is Kathy Schmidt.
Hi, I'm gonna read from my notes so I stay on track. I've only got 5 minutes here. Okay, so on your agenda tonight, it's looking for a motion to remove the stoplight. And I'm hoping that a replacement for that corner is strongly being considered. As you're discerning which way to vote on the stoplight removal, as well as the closure of South Genesee, I ask you to keep the following in mind. Removal of the stoplights at this intersection will cause it to be less safe for our children and the adults crossing Route 30, people on bicycles, and for the elderly. The Morrison Daycare uses this intersection to cross Route 30 safely to visit local businesses for Halloween, for Christmas, and for other outing events. It's a safer intersection for them with the lights. Assuming the city would need to replace the curb with an ADA compliant curb, how would a senior or disabled cross the street safely without the stoplights? During the town Christmas walk and all our downtown events, Morrison residents use the north side of Genesee to park and walk to downtown. And I'm telling you, it's all the way up the street there in Cherry Street as well. All right, now we're taking the stoplight out. It's less safe to cross there, and you're going to have our residents doing that. If Genesee is closed to the south, it would leave one less intersection for emergency services to get across. As I'm sure you're aware, the fire trucks come out of their thing, turn to the right again, and down Genesee. If you close that off, they'll have one less place to go across quickly. Closing South Genesee would also disrupt the bus route currently in place up Genesee, down Cherry Street, which would push more traffic to Route 78 and Cherry Street. Changing the direction of North Genesee to a one-way would disrupt the daycare, pick up and drop off. Genesee is one of 2 streets to put you in the middle of downtown Main Street. Don't we want to make it easy for visitors coming to our town to get to our Main Street? Visitors already are confused by the one-way on Main Street. Let's not make it more difficult for them to get there. I fully support the idea of having a closed street for Morrison events, just not in that location. We've had many events recently. We closed off Market Street. That supports local businesses. It's away from Route 30. You have a bigger area to expand into, and you could make it more of that Galena effect everybody talks about having. The city parking lot close by will help you with the parking spots that you would lose. So please take your time and really think about how removing the stoplight and closing out Genesee will affect the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Wolfgang Schmidt.
I didn't see my wife's list before, but she covered everything I was gonna say. Quite a bit. I agree with her.
Kayla Sipes.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all of you that have taken the time out of your life to participate in the city council. I love that. Thank you for doing that, first off. When I first saw an article online about closing off this intersection, I was really against it, like full on, and I actually went to Michael Blaine and I talked to him. What do you think about this? That article did not give the full explanation of what was actually happening to this intersection. So he told me to look more into it. So I did. I watched the September 11th meeting online. I found your PowerPoint and everything. I went through it all. I shared it on Facebook. I got 15 shares, lots of comments on that. Got a lot of new followers as well, so that was fun. But with that all considered, I have switched my side to that. I was completely against it until that research. I am leaning more toward taking out the lights at the same time There is a lot of kids walking in that area because of the daycare, which is very concerning. So having some sort of crosswalk with, I don't know what there is out there. But definitely a big consideration that with the kids, and I just was seeing all the police officers up there the last 2 days, walking them across the street. So definitely taking that into consideration. But honestly, I avoid that intersection at all costs. My office is uptown connected to a Cockhammers, and I never turn on that street because I hate that light so much. So I always go down further to the next block by the police station to cross there to get home. So I would never turn that way anyway. So if we do take out that light, safety is a huge concern. I'm okay with the one ways. But overall, definitely the fixing the water issue and the drains is number one in that section. And that's all I have to say. Once again, thank you for taking your positions on council.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Carrie Melton.
Good evening. I may be a minority in this room tonight, but I don't think I'm a minority in our community. As I am in favor of taking out the traffic light at 30 in Genesee, I also avoid that traffic light as much as possible and all the time. And when I haven't, I've been afraid to sometimes. I also would be in favor of using that block for a street parkway or patio, if that ever becomes the next step. Thank you for considering a progressive project for the city and for the people that live, work, and go to school here. Thank you.
Richard Eichmann.
Thanks for.
May I advertise your email address?
You said out loud.
I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just tolerate me, please. His email address is mean.old.teacher@gmail.com. But thank you for sharing that, and thank you for coming and signing it. All right, you have the floor. I do not.
I would like to voice my opinion, or I'm strongly opposed to taking that light out. Still, I agree with things that have been said in the direction of safety concerns and things like that, and I would like to add one other issue. That light is part of what slows down the traffic that moves down 30. I live on 30, and I can tell you all about 18-wheelers that are going 45 plus. And anytime the police officers want to camp in my front yard and write tickets, come on down. You don't even have to ask. I got room in the driveway for you. They blow the lights and they speed, usually 40 to 45 miles an hour. I used to be a cop, and that's how I know they're going that fast, because I've been practicing writing tickets. When they do that, it is a danger to all of us. Most of all, when you're talking about things like the children who are trying to cross the street down there. Bad enough if they're going 30, 10 times worse when you have 5 18-wheelers going 40 to 50. You take that light out, they will go faster through there. There are fewer lights to slow them down. Please do not take that light out. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Jen Black.
I believe that requested 15 copies for council members. I also have listened to meetings numerous times, looked at past information, wrote a letter to everyone last night. And as I was continuing on that letter, which public is not aware of, but I won't. I'm not gonna go back there other than to say, Brian did get back with me on my questions. I appreciate having clarification on what that means for the, for that intersection, as far as which ways can you go, which ways can you turn, what's all happening. This first part really is just Brian's clarification to me. I'm a visual person, not, well, boys, don't you know where this is? Don't you know? No, I don't know where that is. To me, I've learned now that is Genesee Street, is not the corner of the old ice box. So, this just helps me on that. So if anything, if I have anything wrong on that, Brian, you can shoot me an email and let me know. I still have concerns with this. And I wonder if the following on the backside are my questions. And I still have concern with the traffic backing up it was mentioned, oh, it backs up to Bay Street. But if I can turn from Route 30 onto Genesee Street, there is no turning lane now. So now when that happens, that's gonna back up again, because there is the oncoming traffic coming from east to west. Same thing is happening the other direction. So now we still have that, there is not a light there to cross, and you're waiting. I am also in the minority. I like that light. I live on the south side of town. And whoever, well, Kevin and Matt know, the rule is you get across the tracks as fast as you can, either direction. Because if you think wait for the next moment, wait till you wait for the train. So I'm opposed to the light. I think it does need to be looked at. There's been concerns about the aesthetics of the light. I do not know the structural condition of the lights. I know it looks bad up top, but aesthetics versus, is it serving, is it structurally on sound? When we put up a sign, through Superwash, we put up many, it has a sign base, it has an anchor into it, it is anchoring down. So my base could be deteriorated, and yet that sign's going nowhere. Saying, I don't know about a stoplight, how that works. So, I would like further information on that, and is there a way to dress up the aesthetics, if that's what we would, like to see happen. I agree 100% with the drainage. The pictures being used, some on Facebook, or the day that I think we probably had a 2 to 3 inch rain, when Exner's was over there, water was splashing up all over the place, and that just makes me go, what are we gonna do for drainage on that side of the street? I agree, Route 30 is a difficult project to tackle for anyone. When you're trying to, I got community, but I don't know what the state's gonna say, but I don't know, there's so many moving pieces. I understand that completely. Personally, I would like you all to know, and I say this not as a criticism, hopefully as an assessment. The optics of this, from my point of view, is very questionable. And what the motivation for the council is. To disregard the signatures, and I'll say it was at True Value. Now that I have this information from Brian, am I opposed to the light? It's fine there, but you know what? It's not gonna affect my daily life one way or another. It just won't. I'll make accommodation. And I believe it was Todd and someone had, going back, what were they signing for the signature on the petition? Well, if I had known that it was just for the light, I probably would not have signed that petition. Now knowing that I can turn off of Route 30 down Genesee north and south. But then I just go, that doesn't make any sense to me because I'm backing up the traffic the other direction. So I ask you to look forward to what are the ramifications of each of these decisions. I feel there is somewhat, hey, if we can get the light done, then we're gonna have traffic issues. Then we can use that as a point to close Route 30, Genesee Street to Main Street. Part of me feels like I'm a little bit of a lamb being led to the slaughter on this, and I'm smelling blood, and it's my duty to speak up and let you know what my thoughts are. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the folks who have signed up for public comment. I want to thank you all for coherent comments, delivered, well thought out, well prepared. And I really appreciate you all having done that. Thank you again. Report of city officers, department heads and committees. Chief, do you have a report?
No, sir, other than just,
we will have the presentation next item. Nate.
Yeah, just going, kickball ended last week. Soccer finished the next week and flag football in another 2 weeks. Hopefully it won't get too cold. Disc golf signs are getting ready to go. I got signs for the Kelly Park that'll be coming, and then we're still working on the big map. We're working on some senior activities. It brought to my attention that we need to have senior activities. We're gonna bring back summer extravaganza next summer. And we're also adding youth volleyball league next year. And, we're gonna be getting close to winterizing the complex, so.
All right. Thank you. All right, at this point, we do have a presentation. Would you, city administrator, excuse me. He only works here. Here's an update from the city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick updates on projects in town. Yes, south side of Morrison is a mess, but it's not forever. And there's some good projects going on, but just to bring you up to date on a couple things. The street project, which includes South Cherry Street, a section of Heaton Street and a section of Jackson Street, is right in the middle of work. They plan to be in town again Thursday and Friday of this week doing mill and prepping the road for pavement that will probably be laid next Monday. They said it'd take 2 days to do all the milling and prepping, and then they'll get right into the asphalt. So that project's coming along well and will be done soon. We had our pre-construction meeting this morning on the our hydrant replacement and catch basin replacement project with Porter Brothers, who was awarded that contract. They hope to get in here by the end of the month and do as much of the work as possible before winter sets in, especially the catch basins and so forth. So though they've been given end of the fiscal year, which is in April, completion date, they hope to get most, if not all of it done yet this fall. And with these projects, we also have, as many of you know, throughout town, there's a few sections here and there that were disturbed otherwise by a water main break or something else going on under the street that we had to dig it up at one point or another. So we have a handful of areas that we want to do patching more than just pothole filling. And we're going to get some quick quotes from these two contractors to see if they can repair some of those while they're in town. And depending how that falls and the purchasing policy of this council, we might move forward with that, because it might be, for instance, if Martin and Company, who's doing the street project, if their bid is acceptable and lower than Porter's, they could do it next week. So we might kind of run into that kind of situation. So we'll see how that goes. I don't expect that to be a large expense, but an expense either way. So I'll keep you up to date on that. Otherwise, that's all I had.
Great. Thank you. We do have a presentation on safety cameras, and I'll ask the chief to introduce our guest.
So this is Phil. He is from Block Cameras. They sell cameras all across the country. So he's going to be doing a quick presentation. It's something that we are looking for to advance law enforcement techniques here using technology that we have out there. So.
Thank you, Chief. And would you grab the microphone?
Yeah.
And then go up to the podium? Thank you.
Gosh. Hey, all, I appreciate you taking time on your night to listen to our Flock Safety presentation. So Flock Safety, we are a public safety operating company. We are based out of Atlanta, Georgia. The beauty of our product, so we have designed an ANPR camera, which stands for an automatic license plate reader. Now, before we get in too deep, I want to explain what this camera is, but what this camera isn't. So this is not for any red light traffic. This isn't for speeding. This isn't to catch you guys doing something that I don't need to do. This is to catch criminals. These cameras put up at intersections that we have designed with Chief, with our staff over here at Block Safety, which is a bunch of solutions consultants of who have done 30+ years with law enforcement. So we have taken a look at Morrison, we've designed where we should put cameras. But one thing that I want to really bring to light here, these cameras all talk to each other. These cameras are in 51,000 different places across the country today.
These cameras are solar powered and the LTE service is built directly into the camera. You guys do not have to pay anything but a subscription-based service for these cameras. And what that does, it keeps your cost low without you guys having to buy equipment that sits out in the elements where we get rain, sleet, snow, all in the same afternoon. And that camera, if it ever breaks, you call Flock Safety, we're out here and put a brand new unit up, no questions asked. So that is how you guys will always have working equipment here in Morrison. But how these cameras work, somebody drives past, if they are listed on the NCIC, which is the FBI's database, Illinois leads, Amber alerts, Silver alerts, and any Secretary of State alerts, they will notify the police department in their squad car, on their cell phones, and by email as well. Now, I wanted to take a story here, one of our solved stories, as we call it in Flock. An individual in Nebraska, she killed her husband, took 4 kids, and drove across the country. Nobody knew what happened. So they called in, they understood what kind of car she drove, what her plate number was, and that vehicle was found in Indiana. That woman was traveling across country to really mask her identity, to get away with this murder, and to start a new life with her family. Now that breaks my heart because these kids, who knows what would have happened to them without our camera notifying the police department right away. Like I said, this is not for any speeding tickets. This isn't for red light enforcement. This is strictly to catch criminals. We have 223 law enforcement agencies here in the state of Illinois using these cameras. And when you think about it at the end of the day, do we really need surveillance here in Morrison? Until something happens to you, stolen farm equipment, stolen vehicle, somebody with dementia that drives off and they don't know where they're going. That's how these cameras can be used for good and not bad. We are recommending 3 camera locations tonight. I'm not going to disclose where they will be. I'll leave that up to the city if they want to explain where they will be. But we are trying to start small so you guys can get the results, come back to city council or budget for more cameras in the future. Any questions? Yes.
So how long ago was it that we got this presentation? A year, 2 years? Because you've been, not you per se,
Yeah.
you know, but your company has came and discussed this with us. And at that point, the council found it, the council at that time, there's been some changes. Found it cost prohibitive. What has changed? What has changed between then and now, in terms of your product? Maybe we're more wealthy and I don't know it, I don't know. But like, what has changed? What has changed in your pitch from the last time, you know?
Yeah,
Are you updating us on stuff or that's new or?
Yeah, I'd say our network. When you think about it, if you had a vehicle stolen, how are you gonna find out where that? We have cameras in Comanche, Clinton, Fulton, Quad Cities, Rockford, Chicago, all over the place. And if you have something gone, and personally, I drove here today, could you tell me when I came into your town and what time? Without these cameras, you can't, and with this knowledge of knowing my vehicle, you can now track where I went if I did cause a crime.
Let me ask you a hypothetical then. Say Rockford has this, I don't know if they do. Say somebody, like you said, robs something from a Morrison resident. And they drive to Rockford. And Rockford has this and they see their license plate and they're like, we know who this is. They're wanted because what they did in Morrison. Will we not be able to know that information if we don't have these cameras? We would be able to know that information, right?
Right.
These cameras, when people flee our community to go to other communities. So this is not about that because we still get those people. But can we as a small town afford it for when somebody flees where they robbed going through our town? That was the question, okay? To keep overall Illinois safe is your argument. Let's throw in as a community to try and keep overall Illinois safe. That's a great point. It's a great question. Can we afford it as a small town? I don't know.
Just if I can interject, Alderman West, this was approved 2 years ago. It's been in the budget the last 2 years. It's just we didn't do it back then because we went through this whole transition of Barry leaving, me coming into this position, and then, you know, we just never got it done, so. Before we spend the money on it, because the cost has gone up surprisingly, I know that's shocking. But then, like everything else, we wanted Flock to come back, because there's at least a couple new members. And basically
So that's
an
our,
effort to just reintroduce the system and what the police department will in the near future consider.
so you're asking us, okay, so we approved it last time. And you're asking us to approve the new amount,
This is just a
Only a
presentation,
presentation.
information tonight.
Not-
but I mean, down the road.
But down the road, yeah, because it'll be one of those situations where it has to come before the council anyway. So it's just information for you tonight.
Can you give us, just out of curiosity, because we've never had this big of a crowd, and they probably are not here for this issue, but can we get an amount of what it would be?
Yeah, they're $3,000 per camper per year.
Okay.
Maintenance is included, install is included for us to maintain them as well.
Okay, thanks.
And that is just for the cameras here. Again, just to remind people, we have access to all the cameras throughout the state.
Right,
And we talk about, what can we afford? Yes, we are a small community, but we are not, again, we are not a community that doesn't have crime or pass through. As a lot of us know, 30 is a very heavily traveled roadway. We know there's a lot of crime going through there. People do stop in here. And if we have these cameras, these people are up to no good in our community, which is what we don't want. This is what we can use to utilize to fight the crime against people. And I don't think you can put a price on that.
Any other questions or?
Yeah, I noticed the comment on, missing and covered plates. You hear that all the time. People cover their license plates, so they don't have to pay the toll, like in New York City to go across the bridges and things. So you have features to identify an automobile by other, I was looking at the other side then too, it says decode. Certain features about the vehicle may trigger, not just the plate number, especially if they cover it.
Yeah, so think about it like this too. So if you have a piece of farm equipment stolen, but you couldn't read the license plate, but you knew it was a black Silverado and it had a window sticker on the back. You can go back through Flock Safety, through all the images to see black Silverado with a window sticker. And then you can go back to the exact time and date that it has gone past that camera. And if the crime occurred 5 minutes before that image was taken, you might have your suspect vehicle. Instead of guessing 35,000 vehicles that probably travel through Morrison a day, it might be more, it might be less. This will take seconds instead of hours and waste no overtime.
And that is not just cameras in Morrison, that's the 51,000 cameras you have throughout the nation.
That's correct.
Bolton just had a robbery 6 months ago, and they were able to track the vehicle using Flock cameras because they have them. So they actually were able to trace back and locate the vehicle was stopped, I believe it was by state police. And they were able to take possession of that vehicle and help further the investigation. So they definitely work in Bolton's just right down the road, and they're about our size.
And the one thing too, everyone, this is a personal story for me, but I drive through about 80 of these cameras a week and nobody's ever pulled me over. I'm not committing any crimes. But one thing though that I did see firsthand is I was driving to the grocery store on a Sunday morning and it was 7 a.m. and I saw this white Impala next to me. And I know what a Flock camera looks like because I look at them all day. And I saw the Flock camera about a quarter mile away down the road. Next thing I know, that white Impala drove right over the median and turned around. Did not go into those city limits. Because they notice if they drive through one of those cameras, they don't come home that night because they committed a crime. And that's a personal story that I thought was pretty crazy to see firsthand.
Are we allowed?
No.
Ah.
Any other questions, council?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation. Watch this space. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the consent agenda?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on any of those items? If not, since they do include money, we need to have a roll call vote.
Schlegel.
Yes.
Zeideman.
Yes.
Miss, absent, West.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Stickler.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Happy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Starting on your page 16, just the bid specifications. This is not approving money or an expenditure, but rather the bid notice, starting on your page 16, going through your page 22. It explains the scope and parameters of the HVAC project right here in this room. Do you have anything to add to that?
Just a couple quick comments. Yes, this is just a formality, for the council to review the bid spec before it can be, posted for the air conditioning unit side of the project, which includes, all units for the library and, this community room. The only things that may change, as I said in my report in this bid, were, the dates. Depending when the bid is, let or published, and some minor details in the project itself.
Any further questions on the bid specifications? I guess, is there a motion to approve these? Get it on the floor for discussion.
Second.
Now, is there any further discussion or questions on these specs? Pending dates, which will move when the bid is let.
So the city is going to let this out for bid, not the library board,
Both entities are,
both together? Okay.
they're actually going to do all the work. We just get to talk about it.
And get, and improve our portion, right?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, this does not involve money. We can do this on a voice vote if there's no other discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, it passes. Again, with the library, starting on your page 23, the agreement between the city and the library, it does need to be reviewed and renewed, excuse me, every 3 years. The difference now is that the city will mow the lawn. Other than that, the agreement between the city and the library does not change. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there questions, discussion? It is financial in nature, so we should have a voice vote, a roll call vote, excuse me.
Page. Zeideman.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Stickler.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Happy.
Yes.
Schlegel.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Item 4, starting on your page 28, pay request for the water main replacement project. In the amount of $205,000 and change. Is there a motion to approve? Are there any questions or discussion on this? This is within the scope. There aren't any changes in the orders. It is financial. We need a roll call vote.
Okay, Alderman West.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Stickler.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Happy.
Yes.
Schlegel.
Yes.
Zeideman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we do not have an attachment for item 5. But as City Administrator Melton described in his note to all of us regarding the extra building at the sports complex to actually put electricity in there. We have a quote from Randy Nelson. I think a motion to approve and second to get it on on the floor, and then City Administrator Melton can describe it any further if you have questions.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any details to add?
Yes, we have a very nice new storage building out of the complex, and it would be operationally feasible to add some electric to it, which includes 2 lights on a switch, and 4 outlets throughout the building, and basically channeling the electrical service over to the building. It'll have a 100 amp panel for future expansion. Should we need to put a heater, compressor, something like that in there? So the panel that is being put in will be not used in its entirety, but room for expansion in the future. Those are the details I had.
Any questions or discussion? It does involve dollars, so we need a roll call vote.
Hey, Alderman Bruckner,
Yes.
Stickler,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes,
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6, there's a resolution number 2307. Directing the mayor and city administrator to initiate the process with IDOT to remove traffic signals at the intersection of Genesee and Lincoln Way. Starting on your page 31. It's the resolution you have seen before. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second? Not hearing a second, the motion dies. Item 7. Beginning on your page 34. You have seen this plan and proposal before. Again, there are no dollars, no firm plan here. This is, again, just to illustrate the thoughts behind that corner. One thing I would like to say is that drainage and curb improvement will happen regardless of your not taking a decision on the stoplight. The drainage and the curbs are already in the budget, and some of them have already, they're gonna start this week.
Not with that intersection.
Not with the intersection?
No,
Okay.
just some catch basins that may help.
Yeah, okay, sorry, catch basin, particularly North Knox and Genesee.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's already been started or will be started soon. Are there any other questions or discussion on this that either I or the city administrator can help you with?
Mayor, I'd like
Need a
to-
motion first.
Okay,
we make a motion to discuss the
yeah, motion to
Intersection
discuss the
improvement
plan. Mhm,
discussion only,
mhm.
make a motion to discuss the intersection improvement plan.
Isn't that what we would do if we discuss the resolution?
Well, we moved on from that.
And you can't get a second to even discuss the resolution? That's all part of the resolution.
What we were making-
We're past the resolution.
Yeah.
If you
We're
guys-
past the resolution. Did get a second.
I know that,
We're on 7.
okay, same thing.
It's not.
And yeah, speak to that. This number 7 was left on the agenda. Regardless of number 6, the resolution. In case this council or anyone on this council wanted to move forward in any other direction with any type of improvements for the Genesee intersection. So perhaps, I mean, there are a lot of different options. Yes, the PowerPoint, the presentation, the information given to you to date had a decision-making chart in it. That was for your guidance down the road to say, okay, if you decided to remove the traffic light, then this is what you're gonna have to do, whatever those options are. Or if you decided to replace the light, this is what you're gonna have to do, or do nothing, you don't have to do anything. Or you can do any part of this project, so I left this on the agenda in case somebody wanted to move or take another step or do something with one of the other action items or options to this intersection.
I'll second. And can I say something?
Yes.
So. So I'm not talking about the light because that's number 6 and that wasn't. We didn't move on that. So everything that I've heard from people that have called me. Not in regards to the light, but in regards to fixing that intersection. I've been against the removal of the light the whole time. The whole time I've said, yes, we do need to fix that intersection. I don't disagree with that at all. I think we should move forward with fixing the intersection. It looks badly. It's not handicap. It's ugly. I get that. Let's for now move on from the lights. A lot of people have spoken about it, but let's improve that intersection. There's a lot of other ways to improve it. Somebody mentioned painting, painting these lights. You can do that, but let's fix the sidewalks. Let's fix the drainage. Let's make it nice. The people wanted the stoplight. That doesn't mean that we can't make the rest of it nice, and I think we should.
You're basically out of order. She has made a motion to, what was your motion?
Just to
Just
discuss.
to discuss this, and we never
intersection.
voted.
Yeah, well, I seconded it for discussion.
Okay, we
isn't
never
that how it
voted
works?
on it.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, we voted on it.
Okay. A motion to
Well,
discuss
and
is
then
on
we
the table.
discuss.
Okay, motion to discuss is on the table.
Okay,
Before we start discussing, let's vote on it. There's no dollars involved. We can do this by voice vote. Anybody opposed to continuing our discussion on the intersection, say I'm opposed. Hearing no opposition, let's continue our discussion. Thank you, Alderman West. You still have the floor if you
No,
wish to
I am
complete your
done.
comments.
I'm
Thank
done.
you. Did I see you? Alderman
No,
Strickland?
I'm-
Oh, okay.
No,
You were
I was just
moving. I
gonna
thought
say.
you were raising your hand. Okay,
I just have a question.
yeah, okay, you have the floor.
Okay, I have a question. So one of my concerns with this entire deal is, just the full transparency. Because the intersection does need to be improved. I also am in agreement with that. The issue of the lights aside, the issue of the potential of closing the street aside. It had been alluded to us at a previous meeting that engineers have looked at this. I have never, can the council have access, please, to those engineering reports? So it can help us make a better decision, a more informed decision. Also, my question too is, you say the maintenance of those lights is on the city. But how much has the city spent on the maintenance over the past 10, 15, 20 years? Well, it was, you told us at a previous meeting that we're responsible for the maintenance,
We are,
correct?
we
Okay.
are.
but we don't know about replacement.
But we don't know how much we've spent on maintenance costs at that intersection over the past 10, 15, 20 years. The lights, the poles on the northwest corner and the southwest corner look much more modern to me, to my eye. They look newer. The other ones that are yellow, those do need to be addressed. They need to be painted or something. So for an improvement plan, I mean, the drainage definitely needs to be addressed, and I would very much like to see the engineering report, as well as a maintenance log on that intersection. That's all I want to say.
With the catch basin and the drainage on 30 next to the church. In the engineering report, did they comment one way or another if the water will, if that is enough to divert all of the water away on the road?
I'm not an engineer.
No, but did they mention, did they put a percentage in there? If we did do that, because the water's an issue, if we did do that, is that actually gonna repair the water issue at that corner? Or is there another issue that we don't see engineer wise on the road or something like that.
Well, the report, there's not an engineer report, so when you say an engineer report, I don't necessarily know what you mean by that, because
Well,
you have been provided with a initial plan set that our engineers did draw up on one of the options, which the option was to actually close Genesee Street, remove the traffic lights, repair the sidewalk intersection approaches, move and repair a few of the catch basins. You have that. That's all we have from engineers. But to address water, without the reconstruction of Route 30, what we can do to repair what is there now is not going to solve that 100%. There's still gonna be water through there, because we have curbs and gutter and catch basins down by where Subway was, and that's a problem there too. It's just some of the infrastructure in the town can't handle that volume of water, period. So to say that whatever we're gonna do to this intersection is gonna fix that water drainage problem there 100% is not true.
So here's my question, because this has never been made clear to me. Did an engineer recommend the removal of those stoplights? Or did someone at the city or whoever say, hey, we want to remove these stoplights? Like, where did this idea even come from? I mean, how did this become a thing? And maybe I'm missing the boat and I'm still standing on the dock, but did the engineers recommend it for issues? I mean, did we as a city say to the engineers, you know, what would it be to remove these lights? I think that's the disconnect, one of the disconnects that a lot of people are having, myself included. And I've mentioned this before, where a drainage issue that clearly needs to be addressed has turned into removal of the stoplights at a intersection used for crossing. And then additionally, the potential of closing a block of a street or whatever. I mean, like, whose idea was it to take the lights out? Did IDOT recommend it to us? I mean, where did it even come from to make this such a?
It was a matter of discussion. Anytime you have a project, and I respond to Jen Black saying this too, anytime we have any projects in town, they always seem to snowball into more than, heck, we were gonna do a public services building for less than $1 million. It turned out to be a $3.5 million project. So projects do snowball, things get added. This is, the city council's been considering improvements to that intersection for a long time, at least going back to 2015, because we got a cost estimate on the lights back then. So this isn't a new idea, and the closing the street or removing the traffic lights just became one of those conversation pieces during a spitballing conversation. It's just when you start talking about projects and you think about what you can do to improve something, you kind of look at all your options. This was just another option. You keep coming back to this every meeting about it. What's it matter? Who brought it up?
It matters, like, was it recommended to us by the engineers? I still don't have.
All right,
that.
so I have a specific story around this. There is a document from 2018 when we were, before I was in city government. We got a lot of suggestions on Main Street. And there was one idea that was supported by more than one person that said, hey, when you redo Main Street, what if you closed off that block of Genesee and made it a public spot? I'm not kidding you. There's a valid comment there. I have it. It was supported. We started re-looking at that when we completed Main Street, and I got into the mayor's office, and the idea of what would it take to do that? So your mayor contacted IDOT, said, what would be required to remove the traffic lights? And IDOT told us what would happen. So I did that. I started that and I said, well, let's see how this is gonna go. But the idea is at least 5 years old to close that block. It comes from 2018, if not sooner. And as Brian said, the idea on the traffic lights comes from 2015, if not sooner. So, we actually have contacted IDOT. We got some instruction. IDOT said, if you want to take those lights out, you need an engineering study. Which is why we commissioned the engineering study, which, as Brian said, you have copy of. So that's where that came from. It's one person's responsibility. We finally got a contact at IDOT that told us what needed to happen, so we said, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's present it to council. So that's why it came up now. Not now, it's come up since July, if not sooner.
I appreciate the
Sure.
answer.
Okay, but we're still talking about stoplights.
Yeah, and you're right, we're beyond the traffic
Not
light.
supposed to do that.
We're beyond the traffic
One-
light.
One question that I have is, just to talk about, is that if that resolution had been brought up and passed, starting with those lights, the rest of the project would have been up to the mayor and the city manager. So then the council would not have any authority to say, well, we have to put a catch basin here, or we gotta do this, or we gotta do that. We could sit here for
No.
months talking about that, and trying to decide what to do. So I think that's kind of just the wrong way to go. I mean, the discussion is great, but we're not, this council is simply not going to be able to decide where we should put a basin. How far should the curb go? Should we fix the sidewalk? Is the church going to help? All these questions, even if you leave the lights in, it's a morass. And then you guys are going down to Dixon to talk to the state. We can't even actually think about doing any of that stuff until at least you talk to the state. But I thought that one of the values of taking those lights out and approving the resolution was that it would show the state that Morrison is serious about doing something about this. That's what they want to know.
Yeah. How do you know
They
that,
wanna
Frank?
know that
That's
we
what
will
they
keep
say.
on fixing
That is
things.
what they say over and over and over again. If you have public support to improve 30 through town, then we'll do it. We'll look at it.
But we can improve it by doing the drainage.
Yeah, you can do
I mean,
it. Yeah,
to
you
me,
can.
like, because at first I thought, I thought the option was remove them or replace, well, we see in the packet, replacing them is very expensive.
Yeah.
So then you're back to removing them. But why not? And I've kind of changed my stance on this a little bit of taking it one step at a time. Let's fix the intersection with the drainage. We see their support against removing them. Let's not jump to that conclusion. Let's fix the drainage first. And then after maybe more discussion and getting the facts out there, we can say, okay, now we fix the intersection. Do we want to remove the lights or replace them?
Man, we've been on this lights thing.
I know.
for weeks
We're not
ago.
talking about lights.
But that's why I'm saying, skip the lights, fix the
Yeah, but you're
intersection.
acting like we're gonna bring this back again. The last two
But-
meetings.
Who's
And
gonna,
again,
who's
you
gonna,
can, at point of order about that, you can bring it back because the motion died with a lack of second, so it's not off the table necessarily.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
just
you guys,
nobody-
it won't even go to a vote for 2 times in a row.
Right.
That's
We can
pretty.
do
off
this
the table.
forever.
Okay, would that be right
But that's
with all the?
because, but that's because, like, I'm not right now totally not for removing them, but I don't want to replace them. But I do want to fix the drainage. So why not fix the drainage first?
We don't even know if the state will pay for new lights or not.
who's
We don't even
gonna,
know that.
who is gonna,
Right, so that's why I'm not even talking about the lights.
Yeah, but you're acting like, let's fix this and then let's revisit the lights. Let's stop revisiting the lights. It's all we've been doing. People obviously want the lights. The majority of people want the lights. And so
But maybe,
assuming that, what else can we do?
but like how someone had said, maybe there's some other way of, and, I think Kevin has said it too, of if you remove the lights, but have some kind of safety crossing so that traffic, I don't know what that is, but I think the majority, if not all of us, want to fix the intersection.
Yeah,
So
that's
why
what I'm
can't we
saying.
do that?
Well, no, that's what I've been saying, but let's move past the lights.
Right.
Who is gonna make the decisions on what exactly you're gonna do to improve the intersection is my question.
We're gonna bring a project proposal back to you to do just that,
Okay,
like any other project.
all right.
Yeah, so, okay.
I totally believe that this water problem is not solvable. All the infrastructure from 100 years ago is not large enough to take care of the water of today. And so we could spend $100,000 there and not gain a thing. So we need to have somebody go down there with cameras, and the city's got cameras. Look at these things. They might be half full of dirt. But I don't know what you're gonna do then, because you're still not gonna get the water drain.
But we do need more information, Arden. That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking.
Right.
So the city will come back with a project plan. We'll take that as a takeaway.
Okay, that sounds good.
Appreciate your open and honest discussion. Is there any further? All right, let's move on. Thanks again. We presented the voting boards before. My only comment on that is I did that by myself and I need a volunteer to check my math. And also somebody to throw out a couple of different ideas. The ideas are presented there are honestly, they're the mayor's. There might be another idea that works better. So if you are interested, if anyone is interested, email me, call me. I'll show you what I did, how I got to my places, but if nothing else, somebody needs to check my arithmetic.
Do you guys have page 57?
Yeah.
I don't in my bag. Okay. No problem.
It's the same picture.
Yeah.
You've seen this before if you want or otherwise. And again, moving on then, the capital plan starting on your page 60. Are there any changes from the last time you presented this?
Yes. It's not good news. So I did update,
there it is.
I'm looking at the street project plan, which is page 60. I kind of updated it, a couple figures in there because I did receive engineering budget estimates for East Main Street and West Main Street. Which are full reconstruction projects, which means from sidewalk to sidewalk, curb, catch basins, total removal of the road surface, new base, and asphalt or concrete, whichever. And of course, and this is just the street portion of these projects. And they're both at $1 million plus. And that's for the public. East Main Street is from where we ended our new Main Street project at Clinton Street down to Jackson Street and the side street of Bartlett, which would be also part of a water main replacement, which is on our phase 5 of our water infrastructure project. And West Main Street is from Orange Street, the end of our new Main Street project, down to Heaton. Again, same full reconstruction with consideration to the utilities there as well. But that is not on our project in any phase, but I did add that at the bottom of the water infrastructure planning page. And that water main from Orange to Eaton would be about 600,000. So the West Main Street project would be about $1.6, $1.7 million. That's just removing the brick. That's just today's cost and reconstructing roads from total reconstruction.
Brian, did you say that does not include the water main work? Or it does include the water main work under it? I don't have to pay it. It does
not. It's about 600,000. both ends are about $600,000 just to do the water main replacement. And then you gotta put another million or a little more on the surface. So,
It's gonna take 6 years of us saving our 1% sales tax to pay for one of those.
yes, yes, yes,
Not possible.
yes. So, those are two projects that. And I asked them, is it even worthwhile talking about doing some sort of improvement to those roads? And the engineers just said, you take your chances. Some peel right away. If you try and put some kind of asphalt surface over those bricks, some will last and some will peel up right away. But, I think those roads are far past, especially because they're brick, far past a mill and overlay like we're doing with Cherry and the other streets. So those are projects that are gonna have to wait, or find another way to pay for them. Which of course includes bonding, debt, that sort of thing. So those are the updated figures for any projects. Like I mentioned last time, we can do some spot repairs and alleys and things like that, I'd say for next year, but to do any kind of significant project, street improvement project, you can utilize some 1% sales tax funding, or it may become an every other year kind of project. This year, this project we're doing this year with Cherry Street is a almost $400,000 project, if you remember, but half of that money came from Illinois, Rebuild Illinois funds. So that helped us with that project, but otherwise, yeah, like I said, to do any kind of significant street project, it's probably gonna at least be an every other year thing.
Do you have any idea how many streets in town have brick under them?
Oh, dear Lord.
All of them?
I've been told that even Route 30 has.
Oh, yes, I think it does.
I could not tell you that.
That's part of it.
That's,
Anyway, another question is how is that hot box asphalt thing doing?
we haven't had a winter yet to use it.
You have to use it in the winter?
That's primary what it's used for. In the summertime, you're using the same. You're using the coal, not coal patch, but the asphalt direct from the hot mix directly from the quarry. So
the sun.
there's really not a use for it, at least. Our street guys say you really won't use that in the summertime to fire that up, but in the wintertime.
Just in case somebody asks me.
I appreciate that. So just something to think about, in the very near future. If there's something that you think we need to do in the next year, other than, the Route 78 project, which is IDOT's projects next year, other than doing some alley work and some other minor work. At this time, I advise to wait a year to look at another project. I mean, we'll continue planning and looking at projects, but to expect a street project for next summer might be questionable. As a reminder, we have a little over $700,000 in the 1% sales tax fund, but please keep in mind that about 300,000 of that at this point has been earmarked for the Crocker Bridge, the Rock Bridge replacement, which looks like it's going to happen in calendar year 26. Start in 25, calendar year 26. And our portion of that is about a little less than 300,000. So we're in good shape for that. It's just yeah, just something to think about for a little bit.
Thank you. And then finally, for information only, is a rumor bid. You wanna talk a little bit about that?
No.
Okay.
no. It might be a necessity, but I just want to get a little feedback from you all on the direction to take with a groomer. We have a very nice sports complex. We've spent a lot of money out of that sports complex. It's an asset for this community. It needs, I believe it needs a groomer to maintain the fields, to prep the fields. We actually have two of them. No, we don't. We have one of them that works, and one of them has failed. One we use for painting. It's just set up for painting. I can't remember exactly the history of, if, I can't imagine we bought that brand new 13 years ago. But we've had both these groomers for mostly the life of the sports complex that opened in 2010. This groomer that we use for the regular field prep is failed. You cannot get the parts, you can't fix it. And a new groomer, if this council wanted to go in that direction, I would propose that if we're gonna spend the money, let's spend the money so we are prepared for the future. Saying that would cost us approximately $35,760. But this groomer would be set up to do both field grooming and painting. So when our painter fails on us, which should be shortly if it follows the other one, then we're going to use one groomer to do it all. Some of our attachments will work on these groomers. And one might say, well, why this groomer? Why is this so expensive? We can go out and buy a cheaper Toro groomer, a cheaper John Deere groomer, but Cromer groomers have an option that other groomers don't have, and that's a dust prevented attachment on it. So when you're grooming fields in the middle of a tournament, let's say, or multiple games, it's not a dust storm. You're able to control the dust, which is a nice little feature to have on the vehicle. So that's why they're so expensive. And I did include the sales pitch email, if you will. The Cromer groomers have come a long way in their durability, their quality, and just just the quality of the product itself. Life expectancy is longer than the 13 years we use one. And they're much heavier, they have more power, and certainly is expected to last us a lot longer than this other one has. So that's the pitch. I'm not trying to sell Cromer. I have no, I could care either way, but it's an unfortunate expense. But it might be a necessary one, but I want to get your input.
I want to say something. We just spent $7,000 on those two groomers 2 years ago. Maybe we should trade the one that's a painter if we buy another groomer. That'll do both.
They take a trade.
Or we just put it on the market
Sell
like
it.
you do with vehicles. Get rid of it.
Get a little out of it.
We can't afford to be spending $7,000 every couple of years on maintenance.
Especially on a groomer that no longer is repairable beyond regular maintenance.
Yeah, I
I
know.
agree, yeah.
Well, at that price, will Cromer come and wash it every once in a while?
All right.
Probably for a cost.
Yeah, a little extra.
So, our quote is good for a little bit, but, as with anything else, the longer you wait, the more it's gonna cost.
So how much did the John Deere cost?
I don't have that figure.
We need.
I have not,
that figure.
I have not specifically quoted or priced out anything less at this
Oh.
time.
Okay.
This is just kind of the preliminary homework. But I can get costs for
So
those.
yes, if it's an action item, it would be unique costs.
But they're not gonna be comparable because they don't have the option, but I'll still put it together.
Yeah, for sure, would be good.
And do you have record of like what, back 13 years ago, what you paid for? the one?
I might, depending how my predecessors get track of things. I'll check. But-
I thought only the one was a new one at that time, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
I'm not, I can't, I
not
don't
sure.
remember. Yeah, I think, I don't remember for sure. I thought the painter was a used one when we bought it, but the other one we bought new from this
Yeah,
same guy.
And are these specific to specific dealers?
Well, this guy, the guy out of, St. Charles, Central Distributing, he's the area dealer for Cromer brand. And that's where we take the groomers for maintenance at this point.
Hearing no further discussion, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your demeanor, your candor this evening, and at 7:47, I would declare the meeting adjourned. The motion to adjourn, excuse me.
we'll move.
Anybody objecting to adjourning? Okay, we're adjourned at 7:47.
All in favor? I don't.
I don't know.